right here. It's we've been
This the
running.
judge, mate.
What's up, Judge?
What happened to the
Nice to
Bungaroo?
meet you.
How we going, Your Honour?
I'm good. Yourself?
For the delays. Yeah, no,
Wow.
we're all right.
Does the defendant have a lawyer?
Bungaroo was there.
Yes, Bungaree.
Oh, yes, Mr. Cooked.
Popped?
Yes.
No, he's still in city. He's probably on his way.
I like when it's shit like that.
All right, just wait for Mr. Cook to turn up and then we can get started.
Alfred, Chester, over on our side, alright?
Your Honourable, is it necessary for me to be in cuffs when still technically innocent?
Is this person a flight risk?
I'm not gonna run. I got a
Titu?
lawyer and shit.
The judge asking if this guy's a flight risk.
I haven't tried to escape a single time.
Flight risk.
Because I think this
The
is
guy-
regards to him being in cuffs during the trial.
It's just what they said in emails. Take it to court, leave them in cuffs.
If he wants to be uncuffed, I'll allow it. However, you can lock the back door.
Thank you, Your Honour. Very generous.
You like the back door, fuck?
Oh, yeah, no worries, mate.
A Mario. Skittles.
All right.
Skittles.
Originally, we're going to get started here. Originally, there was a bench trial request, which was almost an hour ago. I said I'd be at the court in 15 minutes. I've been waiting for over 30.
Your Honour, we apologise for the delay.
You're going to keep interrupting my statement? Everyone on the prosecution side, including the attorney, is going to get 1 contempt of court for making me wait. Right, now you can get started. Prosecution, introduce yourself.
Your Honour, Greg Jacobs for the prosecution.
What are the charges here today, Mr. Jacobs? Mr. Jacobs, what are the charges here today?
You just said introduce yourself. The charges are 3 times attempted murder of an active police officer and 1 charge of kidnapping. This is against the individual with the name of Big Mac. Yeah.
I see. Was there a plea deal offered to the defendant?
Yes, I believe there was one offered, 25%.
And I assume that wasn't interested in taking that one?
I wasn't the one who offered it, was the police. That,
Oh, I see. Very
I
well.
believe it was not.
Deal that was discussed on my-
All right, thank you, Ms. Jacob. Defense, please come forth and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Your Honour. Bungaree Cook, Public Defender.
Mr. Cook, how does your client plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Not guilty, all right, be that entered into the record. We'll be looking here now. Do you have any motions to strike the evidence?
Not at present, Your Honour, no.
Nothing at the moment. All right, very good. Thank you very much, sir. Please return to your seat. All right, prosecution. Mr. Jacob, please, let's have your opening statement.
Your Honour, members of the court in the gallery, we're here for a very clear-cut case. There was a hostage situation involving police officers as well as the accused here. At this time, there was a police officer as well as one police officer and 1 civilian taken hostage. A negotiation and deal was met to meet at Humane Labs. Situation it came to it. They arrived at Humane Labs. Upon this, the deal was changed. Upon the police attempted to confirm this, and they had an altercation between Captain TT and the accused. A gun was pointed at his head, as in TT had a gun pointed at his head by the accused. At this point, Alfred, another officer than PD, pointed a gun at him. Then a firefight arose, downing 1 officer who was the officer taken hostage initially, and injuring 2 other officers. The accused, as well as another individual who was involved in this case but agreed to a 40% reduction and was sent to jail, were incapacitated and taken to hospital to be revived and repaired. We will outline the evidence through with officer testimony as well as the evidence of the GSR receipt being one of them in the report, the other one being for the other individual, as well as the firearm who was found on the accused. We find the accused guilty on all counts, and yeah, thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Defense, it is now your opening statement, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client, Big Mac, has claimed that he was away visiting an indoor secret pool that he'd heard about through colleagues at work at Hornet. He remembers hearing gunshots before coming outside and then waking up in hospital. This is another case where it's quite similar to the case from the 21st of Warri v. Curry versus the PD, where very little evidence that actually substantiated the claims of the witness testimony from PD were put forward. Therefore, even with the lack of evidence, through an admission of guilt, they were still found guilty. However, in this situation, there has been no admission of guilt, and there has been no sufficient evidence put forward. However, through police testimony, you will see there was more than sufficient enough police officers at the scene to probably gather evidence to pinpoint who was there. Outside of witness testimony, I believe evidence is crucial in understanding and piecing together what happened at a scene, especially before the court of law for a judge to make a ruling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooks.
Your Honor.
Yes?
I'm a bit confused of where this case he's referring to. It's not listed in case law or any record in city that is available to myself.
Let me check on that real quick. Which was the case again, Mr. Cooked?
Warri and Curry versus PD.
I think I remember that one.
In the law updates in the city emails.
But I wasn't aware that was in city form of documentation, Your Honor. But if it is,
the case is still within my MDT file.
But it's not mine, which means it wasn't shared with evidence and therefore non-discovery.
I'm sure the police could have you attested to it, but I'm just referencing the case in
Your Honor, the evidence wasn't provided to me prior to trial, and therefore it shouldn't be admissible in this court.
It's not.
We're going to strike that evidence at this time. However, you can reference it, but your client, if you do reference it, your client can get cross-examined by the police prosecution in regards to that. So, all right, prosecution, if you don't mind calling your first witness. Actually, how many witnesses do you have?
Just 3, Your Honor.
4.
3, 4?
4.
Sorry, 4, Your Honor.
All right, that's
How many
fine.
are we allowed?
You're technically allowed 3, but I will allow 1 more as long as the questioning doesn't take too long.
Yeah, we can go 3. Three's fine.
All right, and defense, how many witnesses do you have for your case?
2.
Just 2?
And Walt White.
All right, very good. All right, prosecution, please call your first witness.
Your Honor, the prosecution calls Captain TT of the LSPD.
Right, Captain, do you promise to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please proceed.
Captain TT, could you please explain the call that you received that initiated the first contact with the accused here?
Yes, so I was actually sorting out some vehicle issues when somebody called over the radio for command and explained that an officer had been taken hostage. We weren't aware, we hadn't been given a location of where they were, but they wanted somebody that was in the cells in custody to be released. So we sort of negotiated that we would meet at a location and exchange the person in custody for our officer back unharmed. Soon after that, we were given the location of Humane Lab. So me and I was with Alfred Bradford and another officer. We headed out there, and another car was already out there with the suspect in the back. We started talking to Dom DeWalt, which was the suspect's accomplice. and we're sort of talking about getting getting our hostage back. At this point, we only thought it was an officer that was taken hostage, and so they went to get a hostage and come out with a civilian. And I sort of said, well, we need our officer back, bring the officer out and we'll do the exchange and then we'll get on our merry way. They were, kind of wanted to walk free, and we said, well, we're going to do this safely. Nobody's going to get harmed, but we are going to try and hunt you down and bring you to justice. They weren't too happy about this, but they kind of got okay with it. And then they went and sort of had a chat. And then he tried to change the terms of a little bit and tried to say, started saying that they had 2 police officers hostage, which we didn't believe it. We treated it as being real, but we were kind of, pretty certain that we'd accounted for all of our other officers. So at this point, when they sort of started changing their demands, it became a little bit, unreasonable, really. So I went back to talk to other officers, and at that point, the suspect standing in the courtroom there, Big Mac, he pointed a gun at the back of my head, at which point Alfred raised his gun and told Big Mac to point his gun down at the ground, and then Big Mac started shooting, and then it turned into a shootout. Both Big Mac and Dom DeWalt were shot and incapacitated, had to be taken to the hospital for medical treatment. But yeah, the whole time throughout the situation, Big Mac was very agitated, often pointing his gun at the suspects, and myself sort of telling us that he's crazy, telling us that he's nervous and threatening to shoot me in the legs, and that sort of carry on. After the shootout, we had the 2 suspects transported to the hospital, given medical treatment, while myself, Alfred Bradford, and the other officer, Buddy, remained back, and we picked up all the evidence. Now, there must be a city issue there, because we picked up every single casing, and all of the casings that we brought back were all came back to police weapons. So must be some sort of issue there, because we brought back about 25 casings and 15 projectiles. So yeah, brought the suspects back to the cells, taken to hospital, searched them, confiscated the weapons off them, GSR tested them. They're both positive. Mr. DeWalt was very reasonable. He on the scene, it was very clear that he didn't want things to escalate. He didn't want things to turn into a shootout. He just wanted to do the exchange and get going. Whereas Big Mac was very on edge, possibly on some drugs, the way he was sort of acting. So because of this, we gave Big Mac a bit of a slightly bigger plea deal than what we offered Big Mac, and Mr. DeWalt was quite happy to go guilty on that. But obviously, here we are with Big Mac pleading not guilty.
Mr. Cantini, was there anything else regarding that question?
Was that, sorry?
Is that all for that question?
I believe so, yeah.
Cool.
Sure.
So when Mr. DeWalt he pled guilty, was that to the what crimes were they?
Attempted murder of police officer and kidnapping.
So obviously, where was that with a firearm?
Correct.
Yes.
So obviously there it could have been a wizardry issue regarding the lack of other bullet cases, is what you were saying earlier.
Definitely something going on there, because we picked up every single casing, every single piece of evidence from that scene, and not a single bit came back to them.
Your Honor, as it's part of the report that is providing evidence, we'd like to have the plea of guilty from Mr. DeWalt to the record, but as I said, it's already provided in evidence due to the report being both of them.
Yes, as noted. Thank you.
Is it Captain TT? What was the original location of the hostage?
We don't know. We only got given humane labs. We don't know where they were prior to that. Obviously, the hostage was shot by Big Mac, so the hostage has no recollection of their memory, being that they were taken to hospital.
Okay, so this was a call letting you know that it wasn't something that came from a situation.
No, so we were aware an officer was taken hostage from communication from Big Mac and Mr. DeWalt. And at the point that we said that we're happy to meet somewhere and do an exchange, they came up with a location, and so that's when we headed out to Humane Labs. I mean, they may have been there the whole time. They may not have been there the whole time. We don't know whether we're prior to being at Humane Lab.
Yeah. What was the original deal, like the terms?
So the original deal that I was told was we can have 2 units, which is why we turned up there with 2 vehicles, and we were gonna hand over the suspect that we had in custody in exchange for our officer. We weren't actually aware that there was a civilian that they had hostage as well.
So that was not that you were not informed. You were only aware of the one officer hostage, correct?
Correct.
What was the individual that they request to be released? Oh, sorry, who, not what?
I'm not actually sure. I didn't process them.
So it would have been out of your knowledge due to the fact that you weren't directly involved, is what you're saying.
Objection leading.
Apologies,
Yes.
Your Honor. I will retract that.
Yes, that's sustained. Please rephrase that question.
Yeah. Were you did you have any previous interactions with the individual that they requested to be released?
I seen him in the back of the car when I arrived on the scene, but that's about it. After the scene all closed up, he was taken. He was sort of processed pretty quickly because obviously his paperwork had all been done, and they're basically ready to send him off to prison when the hostage was taken.
Sorry, Mr. Cook, did you say something? Because you're very quiet back there.
Just objecting to the relevance of where this is going.
Right,
Well,
it's to clarify the person that he was getting released and the sort of individual it is, felon sort of thing.
I believe it is relevant to this case as it was the second person regarding this case, so we'll continue.
So
Yes,
what did you
sir.
mean by second person, Your Honor?
As in, you're saying it's the accomplice, is that correct?
No, this is the individual that they request to be released from prison.
Oh, right.
Two is different. The second person's someone different.
I'd also call that relevant as well, because that was one of their demands. Am I correct?
Yes, that was the demand. That's
All right, very good. We'll continue.
Yeah, so you can wait your turn. Basically, I this person was at the station being processed. I was on another scene when they called for somebody from command on the radio. At which point I jumped in and sort of took over scene command. So I hadn't had anything to do with this person prior to then. When I pulled up to Humane Labs, they were in the back of a patrol car ready to be exchanged for our officer. And then after the scene all wrapped up, as I said, I stayed behind and collected all the evidence. And by the time I got back to the station, that suspect had been dealt with and sent off to prison. They'd already pled guilty prior to the hostage situation happening.
Okay. When you have you ever had any issues with collecting evidence and missing evidence that you thought should be there?
A little bit. Like sometimes you pick something up and you don't actually get anything, but I just kind of figured that that's sort of how it's meant to work. But I've never had it when I don't recall ever having it when you pick up as much evidence as we did, and every single piece comes back to a police weapon.
Have you ever had any complaints about you not having any evidence regarding, like not finding any evidence?
No.
Which officer was the one who made the arrest of the individual who was requested to be released? If you can recall.
No, I'm not actually sure who that was. I didn't have anything to do with that arrest or
Understood.
that, but yeah.
You said that you
Mr.
changed-
Jacob, you are coming up to 10 minutes.
Final question. Yeah, I see it, Your Honor. What was the new deal? You said there was an original deal regarding just trading the 2 units. Did they ever What was the new deal?
They didn't really get that far. It sounded like that they sort of weren't very happy that they weren't just gonna like basically exchange over and then walk away and be let go scot free with no follow up. And they sort of that's when they said that they've got 2 cops hostages and sort of started changing their story. So it's like they thought, oh, maybe if we've got 2 cops hostages, then they'll we'll have a bit more bargaining power. But that's sort of when I turned back to my colleagues at their car, and that's when obviously Mr. Mac raised his gun to my head, and that's when obviously things escalated pretty quickly from there.
Sorry, Your Honor, I said one more question. This is one short question, if you may. Otherwise, I will.
You can ask one more, but you will get reduced time on the next witness.
Your Honor, that's with the defense rest with this witness. Sorry, prosecution.
Prosecution rests. All right, thank you. Defense, you may cross-examine the captain.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain TT, can you just reiterate again how many officers were on the original scene?
Your Honor, asked and answered. Objection.
I'd like
Your
him to
Honor, he
answer that
answered
one,
how many
please.
units, not how many officers.
So we had 2 units, 4 officers, and we had an air unit in the vicinity. They didn't want the air unit, so we had an air unit nearby, and we had sort of 3 or 4 other units outside of the Humane Labs property.
For clarification, what is an E unit?
Air unit.
Air unit. Sorry,
Yep,
sorry, incorrect.
Yep.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
So how many officers roughly per unit? Is it 2?
On average, yeah, some have 3, but yeah, most of them had 2 to 3. So yeah, it would have been 5 units all up, the 2 inside and 3 outside Humane Lab.
How many of those units are equipped with a camera?
I mean, there was no time to take photos of anything with the erraticness of Big Mac waving a gun. Nobody was going to pull a camera out and start shooting photos. The guy was likely to blow somebody's head off if he saw somebody pull a camera out. He heard a whisker of the helicopter and he started losing the plot. So everybody's very on edge and very cautious not to do something that was going to escalate them. So everybody's probably got a camera on board, but nobody was going to be pulling camera out, taking photos in a scene like that. I'm sure you can understand that.
Understood. So just to confirm in that answer that everyone has a camera on board.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Yes,
I'm just confirming within his statement, Your Honor.
That objection is sustained. So you please rephrase and move on from this section.
Sorry, Your Honor. Oops, sorry, just going back on my notes. No, I think that'll be all, Your Honor. I'll be interested to speak to the next officer from here.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Captain. Prosecution, your next witness, please.
Kalos, Wanos.
We call Solid Cadet Kalos.
Kalos, H.
Halos, Your Honor, sorry.
Right, Cadets Halos, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Halos, could you explain your interactions and your involvement within the incident that went on earlier tonight?
So I was patrolling solo in the Upper Vardenwood area when an officer obviously commed in that we have a hostage situation and to check Birdie. The suspects, in fact, did post the hostage situation on Birdie. We waited for comms on location. We had a location. Their demands were obviously 2 units, so the 2 units went into the Humane Labs. I was on the main road outside of Humane Labs. I was on standby, and Air Wing 1 commed in that there's a shots fired. So I proceeded to put my lights and sirens on and speed into the Humane Labs hold And when I arrived, there was an active shootout between the suspect and an officer or two officers. And I hopped out of my vehicle, and unfortunately, I did put down the suspect because he was returning fire to our officers.
So you were the one who took them down, or was it a combined effort?
It was a combined effort, but I did put down. Well, yeah.
So was
Yeah,
this
killed.
tackling him, or was this putting him down and
With
incapacitating?
a firearm, yeah.
Was he
because he was
incapacitated?
shooting. Yeah, he was.
And what happened with the other individual that was with him?
So after I shot the gentleman, I looked around and I seen the other suspect, Dom, down on the ground. So I just cuffed him because no one else cuffed him.
So when
And-
you saw him, he was already incapacitated,
down.
correct?
Yeah.
Waiting.
I was getting clarification of whether he's incapacitated or he was.
Yes, he was down. So I proceeded to
Oh,
put
no,
cuffs
I'm
on him just in
responding
case
to
he
the
caught a
objection.
plane.
Mr. Cook, just can you make sure that you're shouting? I could barely hear you. I didn't even know you objected.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me clearly, Your Honor?
Just, yes.
Am I continuing, Clive?
Yes, please
Or you have
continue.
any object? Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, sorry. Could you reiterate that?
That objection is noted as well, by the way.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
you
so
were
I
gonna-
hopped out of my vehicle and the suspect was returning fire to an officer. I unholstered my firearm and unfortunately I did have to shoot at a suspect and kill them. And I looked around on scene and there was another suspect down and he wasn't cuffed, so I proceeded to cuff him as well. And everyone was, I guess, giving a debrief on scene, just giving each other information, telling each other to take evidence, photos, and stuff like that. And I put the people in, the suspects in my car and took them to Pillbox. Before I arrived at Pillbox, I called in for officers to assist me with transferring the suspects into the hospital in case they obviously tried to flee. It was successful at Pillbox. We managed to get them to the doctor. The doctor did his job. We took them down to MRPD, and that's when I took the suspects out of the vehicle, took them into the holding cells. I seen TT there waiting for me, and I let TT take over because obviously he's my captain, and obviously, in case something like this goes to court, we need a very good statement, etc. So I let TT take over.
You said you took them to the hospital. Did you let them know what happened to them when they woke up?
Not the suspects, no. Hang on, Alira, I'm busy. Hang on, can you wait? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, sweet. Sorry.
So you didn't. They.
No,
were
I did
informed
not.
of what happened.
No, I did not remind them, but the officer that was downed.
Yep.
From the suspects, I didn't give him a full statement, but I told him that he was shot.
Okay. So the other two weren't informed. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, not a question, Your Honor.
They
no-
definitely were informed at the station.
It was okay. Apologies, Your Honor.
Sorry.
Were you present in cells during the time the accused was in cells?
Yes, sir. He did assault me, and
Could you describe the assault?
So
what
I
occurred?
went up to the wall to speak to the suspect, the bars, and he managed to fit his arm through the bar and punch me in the face.
Okay. Was there any sort of other altercation, verbal, physical, that occurred?
Not really, just a bit of bickering here and there, but we're trained to just put up with it. Don't feed it back, but take it on the chin and move on.
Were you involved anyway? Further in the rest regarding report or his records or whatever?
Just the shooting, hospital transfer, and just standing.
So you have no
In
further
cells.
knowledge than what you've witnessed.
I was pretty much like physically. I witnessed what happened on scene with the shooting, etc., and the rest was mainly over radio with comms.
Yeah, prosecution rests, Your Honor.
Thank
His
you.
witness.
Defense, please, you may now cross-examine the witness. Cadet, you might want to go back. Thank you.
Do I just go back over here?
No. You just stay where you are.
Stay up here for me.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, could you just repeat your name for me? I missed it.
Solo Cadet Halos Wanos. My
Halos
call
Wanos.
sign is Alpha 455.
No, that's fine. You don't mind if I call you Halos, do you?
Nah, that's fine, sir.
Okay, no worries. In your statement, you claimed you were told to take photos and gather evidence, correct?
Objection, relevance.
I'm going to overrule that one. I think this is relevant to this case. We'll continue.
I wasn't told to do that. I was transferring these suspects into the vehicle to the hospital. But from what I heard on scene, officers were told to gather evidence.
He can't testify to something he heard. He wasn't the one actually saying it.
Okay,
No,
so-
I did not say that.
So you claim
Your
to have
Honor?
heard that.
Objection.
I will allow it. However, I will note that objection down. And there's apparently people trying to get in.
Okay, so you did hear yourself that order issued. Can you see or outline any reason why no photographic evidence was uploaded
Objection,
to
Your
the
Honor.
video?
He can't testify to something he's not an expert on.
Yes, sustained.
Okay. So you weren't the finalizing officer, so you wouldn't have completed the report.
Objection, Your Honor. This was
No,
asked and answered in my last question.
I'm just talking to myself out loud, Your Honor.
Apologies, Your Honor. I retract in that case.
No, I just mainly just focused on that one question about the photos. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Your Honor.
Cadet. Please return. All right, prosecution, do you have any more witnesses? Hello, Mr. Jacobs.
Your Honor, we call Officer, the Alfred from the police department, LSPD, to send. Yes, you're good to go.
Right, officer. Is it
Yeah.
senior officer?
Alfred
I believe
Bradford.
it is.
So yeah, that's all
Right,
right.
Officer Bradford. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Very good. You may continue.
Alfred, when you arrived to the humane scene as already established by TT, you were with him, correct?
Correct.
That's
PT's
what
my
it
ride or
says.
die.
Could you explain from your point of view what occurred?
I was sitting in the car waiting, let TT deal with it, as TT is quite good with those hostage situations. Obviously, been happening quite a bit, unfortunately. So I was sitting in the car. I heard a shot go off. So my ears perked up. I went, where did that shot come from? Had a look down. Saw TT in a bit of distress. This man with the yellow hair was pointing a gun. It's pretty hard to miss.
I'd
Tattoos
like to
all
note
over
of the
his
record
face.
that he's just pointed at the accused.
Bright yellow
That's
hair.
noted.
Very hard to miss. Got out of the car, walked down. TT, if I do recall correctly, said he just shot at my feet, talking about the accused. As I said, pretty hard to miss. So I went down there. He pointed the gun at TT. I pointed the gun at him. And then the accused shot me in the shoulder. I think I'd remember the face pretty well. I proceeded to fire back along with Halos, along with Halos. And then the accused was taken down. One of the other people there, one of the other suspects, ran back inside the building, ran through the building for a bit, and then went outside, and then he was taken down also. Yeah, then after that, big priority was obviously downed officer, the other hostage as well that was there. Then we got back in the car, got rid of everything that we needed to get rid of, went back, got the casings that we could, picked up absolutely everything that was there. And unfortunately, for whatever weird reason, there was no casings of theirs.
Alfred, how many arrests have you done today?
I've been with cadets today, so how many people have I tackled and put in cuffs? Probably a few, but written, not many.
Or just give me a number, a rough number.
0, 2, 3.
Like, sorry.
As in today,
Yes, yeah.
Like even if cadets did the paperwork.
Were involved. Arrests that you were involved in directly, either as a supervisor or the arresting officer.
10, 15, 20.
Would you? Would they? I rephrase. Didn't say anything. So in the people who were incapacitated, could you? Who were the people that were incapacitated?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, either 1 or 2. I can't fully recall because one was out of the car. So either 1 or 2 had masks on, and as I said, the accused there didn't have a mask. It was just had his face out. So either 2 or 3.
Did the other TT highlighted there was a second individual? Did he have a bright hair?
Pretty sure they had masks on.
Objection,
Everyone had
leading.
masks, but the guy in blonde with blonde hair.
I can rephrase, Your Honor.
Objection leading.
Can you,
Yes,
you're not objecting? Okay.
No, I can. Mr. Cook, you're still very quiet again.
It's fine for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with
That is sustained. Please rephrase that question.
Apologies, Your Honor. What was the appearance that you could see on the other individual?
The one in the car or the other one that shot as well?
The one who was not the accused.
I think he had a kind of like McDonald's bag on his head. Dark clothing. That's all I can remember. Really, it all happened pretty fast. Once someone starts shooting.
Early in TT's testimony, he testified he stayed back. Did you, as you were with him as the same unit, did you stay back as well?
After it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Did you see him collecting the casings?
100%, because I was collecting them with him.
Did you Did you see any that he missed intentionally?
No, we collected everything.
Have you ever experienced Captain TT ever intentionally not picking up evidence?
He's the best officer in the whole PD. So no.
Also, Your Honor, I forgot to enter early previous testimony that he did 10 to 15 arrests today. I'd like that noted on the record. It's important.
That is noted, yes.
Appreciate it, Your Honor.
You are starting to come up to 10 minutes.
Yeah. No further questions, Your Honor, then.
Right, thank you. Mr. Cook, you may now question the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. With a distinguished officer with such a high arrest rate, I'm sure you'd be familiar with the police SOPs regarding evidence gathering. Can you just
100%.
Can you just enlighten the court and Your Honor to what they are regarding
What
this
we
area?
should do to gather evidence, take photos, pick up casings, things like that.
Was there any photos taken or lodged for this case?
No, but as stated previously, from an officer to someone who's not an officer, when people have guns pointed at you, especially when they've got hostages, I think it's in your best interest that you don't snap photos of them whilst they have some leeway over you, you know? I think that's pretty silly, in my opinion.
Can you confirm to me whether you had any knowledge of the units on standby outside the perimeter?
Objection, Your Honor. He can't know about what he can't see.
Yes, over. Yes, that is sustained. Rephrase that question, Mr. Cook.
Were you okay then? Were you aware of the other units attached to the scene?
Objection, Your Honor. That's pretty much the same question.
I'm actually
Your
going to
Honor,
allow it because Mr. Bradford should be aware of what's going on around him with communications.
He wasn't seen command as identified by Captain TT earlier.
He has a radio, yes?
Okay, I retract, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I would like to think I was pretty aware.
To the best of your knowledge, can
Mm-hmm.
you inform the courts how many units were attached to the scene?
Two units on the inside, 3 units on the outside, pole there in the air.
Alright, so there was 2, 3 in pole there.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
No, I'm just reaffirming again.
I'll allow it. He's just
To
confirming.
my knowledge, yeah. 2 on the inside, 3 on the outside, and pole there, which was told to move because they could hear the shong 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 of the blades.
Not a problem. And just on average, is running into not being able to pick up suspects' casings, is that a regular problem within this city?
Objection, Your
Fuck,
Honor. TT already spoke about this earlier.
I'd like to hear Mr. Bradford's comments in regards to this, if he's had issues.
It has happened before, yes. Yep.
Is it a frequent issue?
Objection, Your Honor. Why does it matter that it's
Well, I
frequent?
mean, every what's the word I'm thinking of? Everything you go to, there's not always shooting, so I can't really state on that.
Yeah, understood.
It's not every day does someone take a cop hostage without a mask on, so.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Officer, you may return to the gallery. Prosecution, do you have any more witnesses? Hello, Mr. Jacobs.
Objection. Sorry, Your Honor. Sorry, I'm just conferring with the plaintiff. I want to make sure that I'm giving them the way that they want to be represented. For 2 seconds. Prosecution rests, Your Honor. The defense.
All right. Thank you. Defense, you may call your first witness.
Don DeWalt, Your Honor.
Mr. DeWalt. Yeah, you just approach the dock, please, sir. Do you promise to, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, please proceed.
Just Mr. DeWalt, just to the best of your knowledge, the incident you were just recently pled guilty to and served time for, could you just inform the court as to what those charges were?
Yeah, it was attempted murder on a police officer and kidnapping.
Objection, relevance. He already plead guilty to this. What's the relevance of this?
I believe it's relevant to the defense, so it'll be overruled.
Placing him at the scene, Your Honor.
Yep, that's fine. Overruled.
Can you name your co-accused in this incident?
Yeah, so there was 3 of us. It was myself, there was a lemon squeeze dude, and then his friend Sean.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm confused how he would have this knowledge more than the person that's in the actual report. No, he was incapacitated, therefore he wouldn't remember anything regarding the situation.
At what point was he incapacitated?
During the situation, he was taken to hospital and then to cells, as advised, as stated by an officer.
So you're saying that he would not know who he was with prior to the incapacitation?
Yes, he would only know the other individual in the cells, which is Big Mac, which I'm not disputing if he knew that he was there.
All right, sustained.
So Judge, could I just say something quickly, please?
Yes.
I was actually just in prison and I did speak to them once after getting out, so we did have a discussion there in terms of getting information.
How is this possible, Your Honor? He was in cells the entire time and then taken to police custody. This doesn't seem possible.
Your Honor, for the last half an hour at the very least.
I have been out of cells for the last half an hour.
I will allow it at this point in time, however, objection is noted, and I do believe that's a strong objection. So tread very carefully, Mr. Cooked.
One co-accused, I believe, hasn't been charged on the incident. The other one, I believe, has. And the other won't be testifying. It's just the one testimony, sir.
All three were charged.
Oh, all three were charged, Your Honor. Note one is
One was only
the
charged with
accused.
kidnapping. And they also had some mental issues and were seen by a doctor.
All right, let's continue, please.
No, that's fine. In the lead up to the incident, can you inform the court who it was you took hostage?
Objection, Your Honor. As I said, he was incapacitated. He shouldn't be able to remember anything regarding the situation at all. And those
Yes,
can prove- they can prove otherwise.
Mr.
Your Honor,
Mr.
he might
Cooked,
not remember
that has been
anything,
ruled
he should
on.
Remember the planning to the scene.
How would he remember anything? He was incapacitated.
Mr.
Yeah,
Cooked,
this was regarding to the scene prior to that.
But it's still all prior. It's still the life previous.
Mr. Cooked, that's already been ruled on.
No, you're
Just
understood.
Objection, Your Honor. I put a motion in to dismiss this witness due to the fact he's probably going to. He's done this twice now. Dismiss the witness.
all right. We're not going to dismiss him just yet. I'll just try and keep the facts of the case on what he can actually remember, please.
I like my motion noted though, Your Honor.
Yes, of course.
All right, we'll move to your time in the cell. Now, when you were in the cells, what do you remember of your time in the cells?
I remember a nice
Objection,
little
relevance
police
to what
officer.
happened in the cells. What does this have relevance to the individual?
I will
accused?
allow it because it may be relevant to this case. I'd like to hear what he has to say. So your objection is noted.
Thank you, Judge. So in the cell, I heard a lot of discussions. I heard them talking about not having a whole lot of evidence at all. In terms of cases, I know they didn't pick them up because it was discussed. I also
Objection,
had
Your Honor.
a
How can he
nice.
know what an
No,
officer did?
No,
if it's
I'm
discussed
talking
right in
about-
front of me, I'm able to hear
I'm
that.
not talking about the discussion. I'm just talking about your time in particular.
Your
in the
Honor?
cells. Who
I'll
did
allow
you
it.
directly interact with?
The captain and the police officer with the hat on.
Did you interact with any other inmates in the cells?
Yes, Big Mac.
Big Mac. Can you point him out for me?
Yeah.
Could you just inform the court what was regarding that interaction?
In terms of.
Like what was discussed between the two of you?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. It was Big Mac just screaming.
Objection, relevance. It's actually say not a lot happened. Not necessary.
I'll allow it. I want to know what he has to say.
I was a lot of just screaming. I was just trying to talk to the police officer, while he was just pretty much just trying to take it to court.
He was screaming. You don't work with him or have any sort of understanding of who he is, do you?
No, that was pretty much the first time.
The first time. Okay. There was no other individual involved. No, that's all, Your Honor.
Well, objection, Your Honor. He can't
Unfortunately-
testify to if he had any previous experience with him. As he has said, he would not remember it.
That's why I ended the questioning.
I
Your Honor.
believe the
I'd like to
defense
put-
is
This
resting.
witness wasn't going to be as reliable as I'd hoped, considering the incapacitation. So,
Right, thank you, Mr. Cooked.
Your Honor, I'd
haven't
like that
had-
last line of questioning stricken.
Yes, as done. Thank you, Mr. Cooked.
Sorry, what's working?
no, that's fine, Your Honor. No contest on that.
Your Honor, I can't hear you
Yep.
if you're speaking.
Can you not hear me at all?
Hello? Unable to hear.
All right, is that better?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Excellent.
Full with the ruling.
Sorry, I just had to reset my voice box.
Yep.
Yes, that last question was stricken, and I was just asking Mr. Cooked if he'd been finished with this questioning.
Easy. Appreciate it. Is it my turn now, Your Honor?
Yes, it's your turn to cross-examine the witness.
Could you please remind the court what your name is again?
Dom DeWalt.
Dom DeWalt. Dom DeWalt, what from? Obviously, you've said you were in cells, correct?
Yeah.
What was the last thing you remembered prior to cells?
Waking up in the hospital bed.
And who was there anyone else around you in the hospital?
Yeah, there was an officer with a cowboy hat on and a couple of others, as well as the Big Mac. And
So
the
so
dead
Big Mac
officers.
was there as well. Okay.
Yes.
And what happened from there?
We were taken into a car after getting spoken to quite not nicely by the guy in the cowboy hat. We were popped into a car with a different cop because I asked to be escorted by somebody different, driven down to the station.
Your Honor, can I
we-
get that stricken? He can't testify to what someone else said to him. That's hearsay.
Are you objecting to your own line of questioning?
I didn't ask for him to hear what he said. That was the witness's choice. I didn't provide the witness, Your Honor.
Well, that's a good point. All right, we'll strike that one.
Just that part of it, Your Honor. I just don't want to get
Correct.
hearsay into record. Mr. DeWalt, did you plead guilty or not guilty to the crimes that you were charged for?
Fully guilty.
And why did you plead guilty to these crimes?
Because I shot the cop in the head. I took him hostage.
Your Honor, I write this whole witness record stricken. He's just claimed something that he can't testify to.
Yes, as done so. Thank you very much, Mr. DeWalt. You may return to the gallery.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd also like that note on the record, Your Honor, because it's been a problem. Yeah.
Correct.
No, it's understood, Your Honor.
Mr. Cooked.
I wasn't aware of the incapacitation.
Was that sorry?
I said that's understood, Your Honor. I wasn't aware of the incapacitation.
All right. Did your client just say he wanted to change his plea?
No, I didn't say anything. Your Honor.
I thought I heard someone say I want to change to guilty.
No, I think that was someone.
Oh. Mr. Cook, to your next witness, please.
Walter White.
Mr. White, please approach the dock. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, Mr. White? Make sure you're yelling, please, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Excellent, thank you. You may proceed.
During the incident, were you at any time incapacitated?
No.
No, okay. And where were you located during this entire time?
For a majority of it, in the rear of a police cruiser, the initial vehicle that approached the doors of Humane Labs. And then I was let out of the vehicle and I stood to the side of the Humane Labs front doors.
No worries. You have clear visual of who the witness takers were?
I had visual of 2 people.
2 people, understood. Can you recall how many officers you seen on scene?
At the front door, there was 2 initially, then 2 others appeared, but then they swiftly left after whoever was negotiating with the hostage takers demanded that they left.
Is the negotiator in the room?
Do you mean the officer or the hostage taker?
No, the negotiator from the police.
No.
No, okay.
Objection. That was a leading question, Your Honor.
Yes, sustained.
Like that's stricken.
Sorry, Your Honor, I was just looking for a statement of fact. Can you confirm for me who fired the first shot?
I do believe it was the officer in the cowboy hat there.
The officer in the cowboy hat.
Objection, Your Honor. He said he believes he can't testify to something he's not
It
certain
was
of.
someone with a cowboy hat. I can't identify if it was him or not. I didn't see any other.
And there's also the objection of the
officers there with
relevance
the
of the
hat.
fact of what the individual looked like. And also, he couldn't see them inside.
I mean,
I will allow that. I'll allow it. Objection is noted.
No, thank you. So just he's noted the cowboy hat officer. Now you were the one being asked for the release, correct? Do you know who it
Objection,
was asking for your release?
leading.
Yes, sustained. Please rephrase.
Can you testify to who was requesting your release?
Yes, that would be Dom DeWalt.
And who was his accomplice?
I don't believe he had any accomplices. I do believe there were other people that came down to the scene to see what happened, like that man with the blonde hair. I do believe he came down from the forest to get involved.
Okay,
Objection.
no
He's saying, I believe. This is another witness. He's not saying anything that's certain.
Well, he's come down from the forest. I don't know. I don't believe he was involved. He's come down from the forest.
Don't believe, Your Honor, yet again.
I'll allow it. The objection is noted.
Alright, thank you, Your Honor. Now, when the shootout started, how many police showed up in response? Do you have an idea?
There was roughly, I would say, 8 officers, and there was a police helicopter above.
Okay, was that prior to or after the shooting?
I would say, if my memory recalls correctly, there were 2 police cruisers with 3 to 4 officers at the initial scene before the shooting started, as well as the police helicopter.
Objection, speculation again. He's not certain.
But like, it's
Yes.
3 or 4. It's,
Your Honor, he's testifying to the
Jesus
best of
Christ.
his recollection.
I will allow it. However, you got to start treading a bit lightly on some of these questions, Mr. Cooked.
No, Your Honor, I wasn't.
is this
looking to
my
push
issue?
any further.
Do you want me to give a certain number? I can give a certain number. Like, there's
No.
definitely 3, but there could have been another one. That's my statement.
No, that's fine. At any time, did you see my client involved in the negotiation?
Is that
Objection,
this,
leading.
Yeah, sustained.
How's that leading?
How can I have a question how that's leading, Your Honor? It was a direct question.
I smell contempt.
I think it's a yes or no answer, Your Honor. That's why it's leading.
I've already made my ruling. Continue.
Okay, no worries. So can you identify by name exactly who was involved in the negotiation?
Dom DeWalt, one officer who identified, he charged me. He said he was a cadet. I don't recall his name. There was an officer with a cowboy hat, and there was Dom DeWalt.
Okay,
Objection, Your
no
Honor. How can he know someone's name he's never met? Can't testify to someone he's never met before.
worries. Who did he testify that he never
Yeah,
met?
Dom DeWalt.
I've met Dom DeWalt.
He's never testified
I
that
know
he hasn't
Dom
met Dom
DeWalt.
DeWalt.
Retract my objection, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you.
I'm smelling contempt, Your Honor. Jesus Christ.
Your Honor,
can
can the
you
witness
just-
not? Yeah.
For the court,
Speak
can you
outside.
just enlighten the court on how you know Dom DeWalt?
I work at the pawn shop there, and I believe he's a fellow employee.
Your Honor, I believe yet again. Not certain.
Mr.
he
White,
works there, like-
does he work there or doesn't he work there?
It's my understanding he works there.
Yet again,
He
Your Honor, he's
works
not
there with
certain.
me. I don't know what his contracts are. I don't know his employment details. I don't know if he's a contractor, if he's a full time. He works there alongside me on occasion.
Well, then
Your Honor,
I'll-
how
I'll-
did you decide how
I
did you
will
get info?
I will allow this line of questioning at this point in
I'm not
time.
a manager at the pawn shop.
Yeah,
I don't
just
manage
be
paperwork.
just be careful with your wording. If it's
Understood.
something if it's something you know, just state it as fact. No further questions, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. Right, Mr. Jacob, it is now your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Mr. White. You just confirming you were the one who was asked based on the based on the negotiations. You were requested to be released based on their demands. Is that what you're claiming? Correct.
Objection asked and answered.
I'm just wanting to clarify it, Your Honor.
It is, I'll allow it at this time, but it is asked and answered, as noted.
Apologies, Your Honor.
Correct.
How would you know about the demands of someone of someone who you were not able to be in contact with?
I never claimed to know any demands.
But you said that you were released because that was requested.
The officers drove me out to Humane Labs and said that I was being exchanged.
But did they explain why?
No.
Your Honor, I'd like that noted the fact that he's testified as something that he wasn't informed on, therefore he would have no knowledge.
Noted.
I was there, but all right.
Your Honor.
What was that, Mr. Cooked?
I was just reaffirming that he was on scene.
Doesn't
thank
mean
you.
he knows the reason he was released.
But
Mr.
again,
White,
the officer told me that I was being exchanged for an officer's life.
you didn't say that when I
That's
asked the
the
question.
reason.
Your Honor, I would like to make clear. He did not answer that way. He did not
That
specify
is
that.
what I
was
said.
All right, please continue. Let's get this questioning going, please.
So you were driven to the scene, and what happened from there? You were in the back of the car, correct?
I was in the back of a police cruiser, correct.
Yep, and you said then you were outside of the car watching. How did you get to that point?
From the point that I got outside of the vehicle, I believe the
I mean, including
officer,
how you got outside the vehicle. Why were
how
you
I got it.
previously-
Yeah. So you want a rundown of my version of events? Is that correct?
Yes, from when
Okay.
you arrived on the scene in the back of the vehicle.
Once I arrived, the officer exited the vehicle. Dom DeWalt approached wearing a rubbish bag for a mask. He then spoke to the officer and demanded that all the other vehicles leave, as well as the helicopter, as that wasn't part of their original negotiations. They then reaffirmed that there was indeed more than one hostage. There was a police officer as well as civilians. Things got a little heated. The officer decided to walk in and inspect the welfare of the other hostages, where he was then taken hostage as well. And then around that time,
I was going to pause you,
the
Mr. White. Your Honor, he's just testified to knowing the identity of someone in a mask. I'm not sure how we would have realized the individual with his
Your Honor,
face
a moment
identity
just-
covered.
sidebar.
Sorry, was that Mr. Cooked?
Sidebar a moment between you, me, and the prosecution.
Yes, please. Approach.
The shaky witnesses, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he's questioning along the same lines of everything he was objecting to me towards.
That's completely not true, Your Honor.
That is.
I'm pretty much trying to break
I-
the Your Honor. We're going to prove the
I-
fact that he was not even in. He was in the vehicle the entire time, and therefore all the events you
Your
couldn't
Honor, I
testify
asked
to.
twice for his testimony out of that car, and it was objected by the prosecution, and now he's asking for his testimony out of the vehicle.
Because you let it. I'm asking for a broad.
All right, we're going to continue with this questioning, but I'd like to wrap it up very shortly. Because
I've got a stopwatch going in front of me, Your Honor, and I've only gone for 3 minutes 48 seconds and counting.
yeah, but
I
I'd
believe
like
that's
it to
the last
be.
10.
I'd like this to be shorter because
Yeah, I know.
What's
this
the
is
time, Your Honor?
continuing on. I get another 3 minutes.
Okay. Your Honor.
I'm sure you can wrap it up by then.
Yeah, I just wanted to know 3 minutes so I don't get cut off the middle.
Very good.
But would you like me to
What about
continue?
Sorry, Your Honor, what about the regards of the fact that he couldn't see his face?
We'll continue on from that point. In regards
Do you
to not
want me
being
to
able,
answer that?
not being able to
I
see
can
his
answer
face.
now. I know who it is.
Your Honor, am I able to pull my phone out? Someone keeps calling me. I want to put in airplane mode. If that's okay with the court?
Yes, it's fine.
Apologize, Your Honor.
Mr.
Apologies.
Your Honor, would you like to know how I know that Dom DeWalt was the man in the mask?
I'm interested. Yes.
He called me in the jail cell and told me that he's being arrested. He told me he was there. He told
But-
me he was the man there.
All right, Mr.
I mean, he
Jacobs,
was-
you may continue.
Okay. So you'd like me to continue from
No.
the point where the
No.
cowboy officer entered?
No, that's not the case. Who's
what's your
which
next
which
question?
vehicle were you in the back of?
Again, a police cruiser, a Crown Victoria looking vehicle. A
Was
police cadet.
could you just describe the officers?
The
that
officer
was,
is the one that charged me for
so
a
the,
previous crime.
so the cadet you were saying is just correct? Is the cadet was the one who charged you previously?
Yes, and he's the one that was negotiating with Dom.
Okay. Wait, I thought you said earlier that you saw
That's
the
not
guy in the
true.
cowboy hat negotiating. You just contradicted
I
yourself.
said he showed up afterwards. The cadet is the one that entered and became the hostage.
Your Honor,
I
I'm
think- I
either
think you
really
have a
hearing something
poor-
different,
poor
or he just
hearing.
said he was a negotiator. Am I hearing something wrong here?
I don't know, Your Honor. I think it does sound like there might be a mix-up in communication there. I'm just going back through my own notes also.
I just feel like he's
Again,
crossing over
the
and
cadet
contradicting
that
himself.
charged me was the negotiator,
Yeah, see,
and then the
If I-
officer
No.
with
Yeah.
the cowboy hat approached afterwards,
No.
and then the cadet was taken hostage.
If I remember
I've said that, and I
correctly,
haven't changed what
No.
I've said.
if I remember correctly, wasn't the cadet the original negotiator and then was replaced?
This class C testified earlier that he saw the negotiator and said it was a cop in a cowboy hat. That's what he said. And
Yes, one
and
cop and a cop with a cowboy hat.
that was
I
not
think
what
you
he said.
need
Your
to
Honor.
clean your ears.
Yeah, I've got several inconsistencies throughout several statements about who the negotiator.
No, the
but I'm
prosecution
happy
with a
to-
motion to dismiss this client and strike everything from the record. It's shaky again.
Again,
That is rejected.
The negotiator is the one that charged me, and an officer with a cowboy hat was the scene command who swapped when the negotiator was taken hostage. I don't understand why it's so hard to follow.
Objection. So Your Honor, I'd like my motion
I'm answering
noted
your
on the record.
question. You're objecting your own question.
Yeah, I'm not talking
The
about-
motion is noted.
Then the prosecution rests.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. White. You may return to the gallery.
Thank you.
Your Honor, are we going to allow witnesses to be called in response based on something new evidence that was not previously, or new testimony that was not previously outlined in, recall a witness? To be very sure, Your Honor.
I believe defense has called their 2 witnesses they wanted to.
I want to recall an officer to testify to the individual who was in the back of the car.
But you have already arrested all of your witnesses?
On that witness. Yeah, that's why I'm asking, Your Honor. If you don't want to allow it, you won't allow it. I'm asking.
I won't be allowing it.
Understood, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any more witnesses, or do you rest?
No.
You need to yell, please, Mr. Cooked.
Oh, sorry, could you not hear me, Your Honor?
It's very quiet.
Sorry, nothing further.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll have closing statements now, please. Prosecution, you may go first.
Your Honor, members of the court, members of the gallery, what we've heard today is the outline of the case. There's 2 individuals arrested within this report. One pled guilty. Guilty would mean that he admits to what he did as he testified during his thing. He admitted to what he did. We've had one witness who was completely dismissed due to the lack of credibility. One who was consistently misinterpreting, contradicting himself, and had provided shaky testimony. Your Honor, can you have the gallery be quiet while I'm trying to speak?
Yes, this is a notice to everyone in the gallery. Please be quiet. If people keep interrupting closing statements, there will be contempt of court handed out.
Appreciate it, Your Honor. May I continue?
Yes, please.
We had testimony from police officers that identified the facts of the case. Facts of the case are there was a hostage call placed. It was to meet a Humane Labs, which had 2 units respond. And to go, the terms were that they'd show up. They spoke. An officer had a gun pointed at his head. An officer pointed the gun at the person, pointed the gun at that officer's head. And then shots were fired, injuring both the suspects. One in the court, one the defendant, and the other the one who pled guilty. There was also one officer who was downed. Both of them were provided all 3 were provided medical treatment, and were not informed of the reason or what happened. Earlier in the opening statement, it was claimed that his client was not present at the scene, if I'm recalling correctly. As outlined by both witnesses, as outlined by Mr. White, he saw the defendant at the scene. Whether it was shaky or wrong, it was still what he testified to. The fact is, there's evidence and testimony provided by officers, and the evidence provided by the opposition is simply just shaky and obviously just completely dismissed on one of the witnesses. We believe we proved beyond a reasonable doubt the guiltiness of the individual, and we seek the maximum sentence with guilty verdict determined.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your time, Your Honor.
Mr. Cooked, your closing
sorry,
statement.
sorry.
Oh my goodness, Captain.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know he's loud, but you don't need to beat on him. All right, Mr. Cook, please finalise your statement.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll try to keep this brief. In reference to the previous case of Warrior and Curry versus PD, this case is not...
Your Honor, I know we can't object to our closing statements, but that was clearly told not to be discussed.
Mr. Jacobs, if you outburst again during people's closing statements, I will hold you in another charge of contempt. Well, Mr. Cook, please start from the beginning.
In reference to the Warrior and Curry versus PD case, this case also holds many similarities, where we are sitting here before you in court after a lengthy discussion and a lengthy back and two using eyewitness testimony. However, alongside that eyewitness testimony, there is no photographic scene evidence. There is a very little lack of, there is an absolute lack of effort to gain that evidence. To have 7 units on scene accompanying at least 14 officers, to say that one of those officers couldn't be able to operate a camera, to be able to then prove beyond reasonable doubt that my client was there and attended the scene and was involved in the initial negotiations. I don't know if it's a lack in the police SOPs or a lack of an enforcement of the police SOPs, but it has been clearly stated in witness testimony from the police that there was an order issued to take photos and photograph the scene. Again, nothing has been done. They claimed that it is a city issue that no casings could be found from the defendants, yet their casings could be found. It doesn't seem that they have outlined this as a persistent issue in city, and I thoroughly urge that this be investigated. Again, I don't think they have proved beyond reasonable doubt that my client was involved. Again, we are relying purely on testimony and not the evidence that should be backed behind it. As members of our society, they are held to a higher standard, but I feel as if this standard is not being met across the board at the simplest level in regards to responsibilities for documentation and
Captain.
reporting in the MDT. It is a police officer's duty and responsibility to prove probable cause to enforce an arrest, yet there is no definition in the Police Act that they must bring that probable cause and enforce it to back their testimony at court. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooks. Right, we will have a 10-minute recess while I consider my verdict.
I'm able to make a statement, Judge?
Sorry, Clip.
No.
Sorry.
Damn.
A few minutes later.
Me. Rainer.
I mean, to be fair, if I was walking past Kate, I'd have a bit of a trip as well.
Order of the court.
I might stay for the hearing.
Alright, I'll now read my verdict in regards to this case of the State versus Mr. Mack. I'm troubled today by the information provided in this trial. Genuinely troubled, when not only civilians but also peacekeepers can be easily taken by armed individuals. Clearly, within this city, guns are starting to become a serious problem, which I believe the police are having some trouble keeping under control. Either licenses or firearms are easily too available, or the police need to have higher powers and abilities to confiscate firearms to combat this rising threat to the safety of all civilians in this great city of Los Santos. Going by the testimonies from sworn police officers here today, I'm convinced, without any doubt, that Mr. Mack is a violent individual and he needs to seek professional help about curbing that anger into other avenues rather than shooting people. I'd recommend golf. Mr. Mack is guilty on all charges and is to be remanded into custody for a full term service with no reductions. I'm aware that Mr. Mack spent a long time in police custody, and for that I urge Mr. Cook to consider seeking further civil action in relation to unlawful detainment. My ruling is final. This court is dismissed.
Yeah, baby.
Your Honour, is your rulings available for the record?
It will be, yes.
Appreciate it, Your Honour.
Don't you...
Bitch.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fucking piece of shit, dumb fuck.
That's right, you take him out.
You're a good judge.
Do you want me to shoot him in the head, Your Honour?
Just incapacitate's fine.
Yeah, I don't think that deserves anything. I think that's just... That shows it right there, no?
Fucking corrupt political system. No fucking evidence in arrest me. I don't remember your name, Judge.
Oh, thank you.
Fat piece of shit.
My pleasure, Judge.
No evidence again.
Without a
eh?
reasonable doubt, are you fucking brain?
Alright, your time to get out of here.
You might want to step down from up here, sir. That's not a good spot to
Sorry,
be.
mate, yeah, I don't want to.
And then just fucked around being an arsehole for 2 hours. What up, a bit?
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah,
And
good,
trying
brother,
to-
good.
Yeah, nah, it's all good.
Trying
to win the case.
Righto,
Yeah.
you get
All
served
good, mate.
with
What do I
shit,
do?
You have to deal with shit. That's what you can't. You don't pick what you get.
That's-
what
that's-
cases you're given. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the side of
And
defense you wanted to
if you're
push it.
like, I feel so sorry for what you had. I mean, I was. I mean, I'm not sure you noticed the fact that we contradicted.